After you've identified the area that you want to invest in, hopefully one that's going up, at that point, you begin looking at properties, the actual sticks and bricks, as I call it. Now, Dolph, do you care if the property is ugly?
Not only do I not care, I like it if the property is ugly.
You like problems, right?
Well, they're not problems to me, they're challenges. You see, if there are problems, they're perceived problems, then everyone else values that property very lowly.
Right.
But I know that for a very small expenditure, I can massively increase the value of that property. So I love challenges.
Right. So that's why I say to people, fall in love with the area, but not necessarily the house. In fact, a lot of times I look for the best area with the ugliest house.
Right.
And only at that point do I start looking at multiple properties. I don't want to get attached to any one. Is that correct?
Correct. And you have to look at a lot of properties. People make the mistake of looking at 2 or 3 and trying to make a decision. You've got to look at dozens and dozens, and all of a sudden one will pop out as being spectacular.
Yeah, sometimes you walk into a property that's not even listed just because you're looking around the area.
Right. It might be for sale by owner or something like that, or people hear that you're looking to say, well, actually, my cousin's got one for sale. I wonder what he wants for it.
Right. So after you find this area, you become this expert, and once you become this expert, let's say you're jogging or riding your bike around and everybody knows you're looking for investments, suddenly people start giving you all these great deals on these properties. So that's the next step. After you've identified the area, then you start looking for the properties, and oftentimes I don't really care if they're bad. In fact, some of them can be too bad or too broken, but you're looking for problems sometimes, or sometimes they don't have to be a problem. It's just great deals. In this program, we'll be looking at different areas and only a few pieces of property. But I caution you, in the process of finding the property, if you're just starting out, I highly recommend you look at 100 pieces of property before you make an offer. In other words, leave your checkbook at home, leave your wallet at home, leave your purse at home. Go and look at 100 properties. Don't buy anything. Would you agree with that?
Totally. It's a numbers game. You cannot expect to go out and look at maybe 10 or 15 properties and have a spectacular deal amongst those. It might happen, but chances are it won't. And even if it is there, you'll have no reference to go by. You won't know if it's a good deal.
I would say this is a must of this step. Learning to love to just look at properties. We've looked at tens of thousands, haven't we?
Over the years. And whenever we go anywhere, we always get out and look at real estate, be it on holiday or whatever.
Right, so this goes back to point number 1, is decide to learn, to become an investor, because you learn something new every day. Every time I go to a new piece of property, I learn something new.
Which helps you in deciding whether the next one is good or not.
And remember that time you were teaching this course and you have this formula of 100, 10, 3, 1. In other words, 100 properties, you make offers on 10, you get 3 accepted, and you just buy 1. So 1 out of 100 you buy, and this one guy in your class stood up and said, I've looked at 20, I haven't found anything yet. Remember him?
Yeah, well, he was angry, but he only looked at 20, and he cannot expect to find a great deal by looking only at 20. And most people give up, you see. This is, I think, one of the best rules there is. Look at 100 pieces of property. Most people will go out, they'll look at 13 one weekend, they might look at 15 the next weekend, and they'll say, gee, I've looked at 28 already. But the weekend after that it's raining and they don't look, and the weekend after that Cousin Mary's getting married, and all of a sudden they say more to themselves than anyone else, it doesn't work.
Right.
You've got to look at the numbers.
And it becomes so much fun. And, the best part about it, if out of those 100 you find one that makes you rich for the rest of your life, it's worth it, right?
It's self-explanatory, yeah. And
fabulous.
You can find one every week if you put your mind to it.
Right, and after a while, it becomes a process. It becomes a way of life. And that's why I say the first time, find an area near your property, near where you live or where you work, and make a regular process through it. You're looking at them, studying them. But what you were saying is most people look harder for a car.
Right, they'll spend more time, more weekends going out to look for a car that will depreciate and go down in value over time and only serve them for 5 years anyway, than they do going out looking for one piece of real estate that might feed them for the rest of their lives.
As an additional point, I'd like to add that when you're finding your area and identifying pieces of real estate, this is where your broker becomes very important. Not all brokers are equal. Not all brokers have the same intelligence. As you're going through the area and looking at different properties, you'll soon find out the brokers you like and brokers who like you, right?
Right.
And then also, not all brokers work with investors. Most of them work with home buyers, especially the first time. So there's, the kitchen's important. How pretty is the paint and all that. Well, we don't care about that. So on top of finding the right broker, you have to find one that understands you and hopefully is an investor himself or herself.
Right. Most brokers that understand you, that have the same mentality, are investors. And don't ever be put off by a broker who is an investor. Don't think, well, if there's any good deal that comes along, he'll take it for himself. No broker can buy every deal that comes across his desk.
Yeah.
The advantage of a broker that does invest is he understands the mentality, he understands what we're after, that we don't care whether the deli on the corner is good or not. We just want a good deal.
Yeah, investors think different than home buyers.
Right.
And so, Dolph, there's questions you can ask a broker to find out whether or not they're compatible with you or share the same investment philosophy. Is that correct?
Sure. In fact, often what I do when I go into a new area, an area that's new for me anyway, is I will go to a real estate firm at random and just go up to the person at reception and say, tell me, who would be your best investment broker that you have here? And if he or she says something like, well, I don't know, they're all good, then I know I'm in the wrong place, so I go on to the next firm. But let's assume I come across someone who says, well, actually, that would have to be Frank or Sally. Then I say, well, I'd like to speak with them, please. And I've got a couple of questions for them, too. The first one might be, all right, Frank, could you show me what are your top 3 investment properties that you have on your books at the moment?
That's my favorite question. I say, what do you think is the hottest deal you got right now? Yeah.
And if they say, well, gee, they're all good, which one would you like to see first? I know I'm dealing with the wrong person. But if they say, well, actually, the top deal, the hottest deal we've got would have to be this one here, I'm almost there. I'm not quite there because I still have one more question to ask, and that is why?
What's your criteria? Well, how did you analyze this thing? And in analyzing, you find out whether or not you are in the same wavelength.
Whether we're compatible, whether they think the same way. If they say, well, the deli down the road has just the best sauerkraut or whatever, then I know I've got the wrong person.
I went to this one place, and the guy said, this is the best deal. I said, what is it? It said, it was this new construction and all this. All you do is put $5,000 down, and in 2 years, it'll be worth $100,000 more. That's not an investor. That's a speculator.
That's a speculator.
Right.
But if they say, well, you know, this property sold 5 years ago for $200,000, it's now on the market at $300,000, but all the others around it that are similar are selling for $350,000. I know I've got someone who can speak our language.
Or they hear of somebody, say, a new company is moving into this area, and all the properties around it will go up in value. This person is paying attention to what the market is doing and whether it's going up or down.
Right.
So many times, real estate agents focus on the house and not the market. So what I'm watching for or listening for, hoping to hear, is I have a real estate broker who is the same thing with me, is they're looking at the area first, the property second.
Exactly.
And when you find a good broker, pay them well. I meet so many people who will tip their waiter 20%, but try and stiff the broker 6% or whatever the commission is. You know, that's tipping somebody who's costing you money rather than tipping somebody who can make you rich. I like to pay my brokers everything. I mean, I like making them rich because they're making me rich too.
Right, right.
In this video, we only have time to go over a few areas and a few pieces of property. But please let me reiterate the importance of looking at as many pieces of property as possible before you break open your checkbook. For this video, we too went through the process of looking at many, many different pieces of property before choosing these to look at.
With help from Ryan and Kim, we decided to focus on just a few key areas quite near where they lived. Some areas had a clear history of trending upwards in value. Others hadn't yet begun to significantly appreciate but showed good potential to do so. And others still showed a likelihood of remaining fairly stable in value. Each property we looked at had asking prices in a similar range, but because of the areas they were in, they showed very different potentials for cash flow and appreciation. The first property we looked at was in a quite desirable neighborhood near an upscale shopping center. A very solid-looking rancher, it had 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and an asking price of $139,900.
As we're talking about, area is very important. Houses are houses, but area is very important. 1 block to the south, all the high-end car dealerships, Porsches and Ferrari. About 3 blocks to the east over there are very high-end tourist attractions. And just 5 or 6 blocks to the north here are the high-end shopping centers, fashion parks. So this is a great, stable neighborhood. Wouldn't you say that?
I agree. And when you look down the street, you can see that all the houses here are very straight and tight and clean. It looks as though it's a very well-kept neighborhood. Yeah. And this house in particular, I think it looks very tidy just from what we've seen here. It's got a very clean concrete pad here. The roof line is very straight. It just looks a very neat house that you'd feel comfortable renting out to someone.
What Dolph is talking about is when you first walk up to it, it's called curb appeal. How does it emotionally hit you? Does it look clean? Does it draw you in, or does it push you away? So if you're a renter, who you would rent it to, they would say, oh, this, I'd like to live here. And that's very, very important. Like, I look at the roof. That's a great-looking roof.
Right.
Yeah.
In fact, I think it's been extended because when you compare this house with the ones either side of it, they've all got carports with just a wall at the end, and I think they've boxed this one in and extended the roof line. It gives the impression that the house is a lot bigger than perhaps it is.
Right, what Dolph is pointing out, there's carports there and carports there, but this is an enclosed garage. So as a renter, I'd feel like my car would be protected.
Right.
And so they're thinking about their cars.
Right.
What do you guys notice when you first walk up?
Well, I, like you said, I do notice that it's kept in pretty good shape. I mean, that's what appeals to me if I was a renter, you know, and I notice the concrete, there's no cracks or the windows are all straight, there's no broken glass or anything like that, so I'd feel comfortable living in a place like this.
Right. Well, that, of course, is the outside, and it remains to be seen what it's like on the inside, because quite often someone might do up the outside to give the impression that it looks good, whereas on the inside it turns out to be not the same. So I'm keen to see what it's like inside. Is the kitchen and the bathrooms, you know, up to standard?
Here comes a realtor now.
Hi, I'm Bob. Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you, Robert. This is Dolph.
Hi, Dolph.
Bob.
How are
Good
you?
to meet
Nice
you.
This is Kim.
Hi, Kim. How are you?
Nice to meet you.
And this is Ryan.
Hi, Ryan. Nice to meet you.
So, what can you tell us about this area?
Well, I grew up in this area. It's a great area for rentals. It was built in about 1958, and when they were originally built, they probably cost between $8,000 and $11,000.
And today it's about 140,000.
About 140. They've, you know, virtually doubled in value every 10 years. And
So in 1990.
well, in 1990, these houses were selling for right around $80,000, and if a person would have put $8,000 or 10% down, then they would have earned a 68.5 annual rate of return. So it's
Now
a
that's
great
annual.
place. Annually, right.
Phenomenal.
And so this is a nice, stable area.
Very stable area, great place to live, great place for me to grow up and have my daughter into.
You've seen it change quite a bit.
It's, you know, it gets a little bit more traffic, but it's a growth area. It's just, you know, a lot of people want to live here. So
Right. It's a great location. Huh?
yes, great location.
All right, well, let's go inside and have a look what it's like on the
Okay,
inside.
let's go take a look.
Great.
Well, look at this. It's very nice in here.
So, well, one of the first things I notice is the fireplace here, and things that tenants like tend to be something like a fireplace where you can have an open fire, and it's kind of got a unique style about it too, so that's nice.
It's very quaint.
Very quaint.
And look at that. That's 1970s disco. You know?
Whoa,
Yeah.
look at those mirrors. I mean, that
panel.
really is bad.
You can just pull that right off of there. And
Yeah, the good thing
Paint it.
about, exactly, Kim, it's this perfectly. All you do is take it off. It's not expensive to do. I mean, you can do that, you know, in an hour at the most.
Right.
And then you get a little paint, and it would be very nice. And if you look at this carpet here, right now the carpet looks dirty, but it's a high-quality carpet. And I think with a good cleaning, it'll bring it right up. And you could probably get 2 or 3, you know, more years use out of it. But it's a very
Easily.
high quality.
It's in very good condition, yeah, yeah.
Again, the whole house reeks of quality. It's just, you know, back in the 1950s, as Bob says here. Let's go in the kitchen and see what we have here.
Alrighty. Well, this is interesting. Just looking down at the tiles, you know, they're in perfect condition and they don't look dated at all. It's very, very straight. The bench here too. I see it's got a dual sink with a single faucet over it, so that's pretty modern. The thing that does stand out in my mind, though, is these cabinets here. While they're straight and tidy and they look as though they're very operational, the color scheme really, I think, is from the 1950s. I'd hazard a guess that these are the original colors they had here. And I think a coat of paint could do wonders in transforming this.
How much, Kim, how much do you think it would cost to paint this?
maybe less than $20.
Yeah,
$20, yeah. You see, the whole thing is that to do this up, to change those panels and the mirrors and the color of the paint in here, we're not talking big dollars at all. And the perceived value when you'd walk in, if you did those changes, it would be much higher.
It's a very good quality house. And look at this here. I was just looking at this. Push this button. And look, they have these metal roller protectors like garage doors for your windows. They're everywhere. And, you know, that means more security. If you had an older tenant come in here, they would just feel very comfortable, safe in here. This whole house, reeks of safety.
And that's a great point, because we've talked about the solidity of the house, how that makes it very good from a landlord's perspective. It's very hard to destroy this house. Mm-hmm. But things like this grill here, that makes it very appealing for a tenant to be here and live here. So you'll find it eminently rentable because it's a very safe house from a tenant's perspective.
If you advertise this as a very safe, secure house with, protected windows, it attracts a different type of tenant. They probably stay longer, too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Look out in the backyard and look out there.
Okay.
Here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, you can tell by the construction here right away that they almost overbuilt it, so that shows really pride of ownership, and they did a great job. And I mean, look at this slab here. This is very solid construction.
It's so extensive too. It's a
Yeah.
huge, big slab.
It is almost overbuilt, but that's a good sign. The person took care of it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Compared to that house over there, I mean, you can tell.
A little chintzy.
Yeah, that's a lot more flimsy.
And for people with kids, you know, they have the solid cinder wall, hollow tile wall. It's fabulous. I mean, it's
Right.
a very quality place, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's in perfect condition too. If you look over here at the gate going to the alleyway.
Well, security reasons, you know, and like you said, the solidness, to me, is like a security, especially with kids, you know.
Yeah.
It's a security, big, tall walls, solid walls.
It's great.
Right. Let's
And
look
then-
through here.
What's over here? Hey, look at this here. I mean, this is the storage room. I call it a Bubba room. You know, you can put your tools and store all your bicycles and all the things you can't fit in your house. This is a great feature right here.
Right, I'd say this was part of the original house. And then here in the garage, they've obviously just turned what was originally a carport into a garage by putting in the end wall and then just boxing the whole thing in and putting the electric door on it.
So you think this was open at one time, huh?
Right. Right, just like the houses either side of it.
Right. And so now this is...
So much more security for your vehicle. It makes the house look far more substantial. And anything in here is dry. It's not just secure, it's out of the rain.
True. No cracks on the floor. It's
No.
Yeah.
very well
Yeah,
done.
it's generally a very solid looking place. And again, the only downside is there's nothing you can add to it. You can't turn a carport into a garage because it's already been done, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for somebody who is like me, who's not good as a handyman, this is perfect, you know, because I don't have to do much for it, just paint it and a few other things. But it's
Right.
a very solid, well-built house. It'll last for years. So I would summarize, you know, this is an excellent house in an excellent neighborhood. It's indestructible. It'll last for years. It has appeal to a renter. And for somebody like me, I don't have to do much to it. So I love it because it's high quality, good neighborhood. My investment would be secure. But, you know, for somebody like Dolph, he would say this wouldn't appeal to you because it's too well built, maybe, huh?
Well, it's not too well built as such. There's just little I can do. I like things with a twist where I can add value to it without spending much money. Now, having said that, if the numbers work, it's still a great investment. I'd be interested. And what I like about it is from a tenant's point of view, they would feel secure here. They would feel as though when they come in with their car, they can lock it, and if they go away for a week, no one knows whether the car's here or not. It's not an obvious indicator as to whether you're at home or on holiday or something. So I think it's got great tenant appeal as well.
Right.
And again, if the numbers work, it's a great investment.
Yeah, this house is almost indestructible. Great neighborhood, secure neighborhood, and the house is even more secure, so I think it has a lot of pluses in that part.
Right.
But you say if the numbers work, that's what counts.
Sure.
Well, Dolph, what did you think looking through it?
Well, certainly on the outside, it looks very straight and tidy. The inside is also good. It's not quite up to the same standard. It's got some things that look a bit older. But I think overall, this is a very clean property. There's very little that needs doing to it.
Yeah.
I think it is simply a numbers game. Do the numbers work? In other words, what can you buy this for? And what are the rentals? And what are your expenses? It's going to be a simple exercise of analyzing the numbers to see if it's a good investment.
Right, on a scale of 1 to 10, as far as a rental property, I'd probably give it an 8. It's solid, great area. What did you guys think?
That was pretty good inside. It was fairly clean. I mean, it needed a little updating here and there, new
Little
paint.
paint.
But other than that, I thought it was in pretty good shape.
Yeah. You know what I liked about this house? It's indestructible. You know, I mean, it's a tough, well-built house.
Brick and concrete, and there's little that can go wrong.
It's a quality house, and it's solid. That's what I like about it.
There's probably little you can do to add value here. I mean, we're at one of the houses either side, then you could turn the carport into a garage, but that's not possible in this case, and there are many other things that are not possible to do here. It's not as if the driveway needs sealing or anything.
Right.
But that's why I say it's simply an exercise in working out the numbers. If the numbers work, it's a good deal.
Kim, your final impression of a house, you know, since you and Ryan will be investing it together, what do you think of it?
I think it's great. It's in good condition. Just needs a little bit of updating, like paint, simple things, maybe tearing off some old mirrors and stuff like that. But
So you could give it the nice woman's touch to it.
oh yeah, it's a once over.
Yes,
Right.
that would be nice. Well, we have a lot of other houses to look at, and so let's keep going. This is a nice one, but let's find out. Let's see what we can find.
Let's go.
It's
Okay.
exciting.
All right. Our next property was in a very different part of town, one that showed signs of really trending upward in the years to come. Listed as a fixer-upper, it had a separate guest house and an asking price of $102,000. We were curious to see if it would offer us the kind of twist that we could use to quickly increase its value.
Well, as you can see, this is an older house. It was probably built around 1930. So it's 25 years older than the house we saw in the newer neighborhood. The reason we want to look here, though, is this neighborhood is older. It's gone down, but it's coming up right now. Just a block away, people have taken exact same houses like these, refixed them up, made it a beautiful neighborhood all along the street, and they're now going for around $350,000. So this one has a huge potential, but the question is, you know, it's advertised as a fixer-upper. It's about $102,000 asking price. But the question is for the money you put into it, will it make sense? Can you fix this house? That's the question.
Right. Or for a similar price, can you get one that needn't be fixed up? That's good as is.
So this is a great neighborhood. The question is, this is a great house that's worth investing in. That's really the question. Why don't we go around and take a look in back and see what's there? There's a guest house back. I think we can look at that. Okay.
All right.
Mike, look at that.
Yeah, and the hole up there.
Look at the cracks there, the cracks there.
Right.
Look at this master carpentry work here. Obviously, I think this house is it's cracked up front, and it's cracked at back.
Right.
At $102,000, I wouldn't begin to guess how much it would take to make sure it was safe and sound. I think we have a lot of problems underneath. Huh?
Right.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it's more work than I'd be willing to take on. Just a first look, a first glance at it, I think it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. We'd put a lot of money. Like I said, this is a great, great neighborhood, a great area. But this may be a house that, unfortunately, has nice design at one time. But I think it's absolutely too old, too busted, too gone.
Right. The effort it would take to do it up, you could better spend looking for the next good deal.
Yeah, it's better to invest your time rather than your money looking for a better deal.
Right.
But let's go look at the guest house. That's one of those selling features the agent told us about. So look at this. If the guest house is good, who knows? Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, gee.
Jeez. Look at this. Look at all this.
Well, my first reaction is this is not a guest house. This is a juxtaposition of sheds and lean-tos, and I don't even think some of this is up to code.
Yeah, this is a fire hazard. It's a danger.
Right.
You know, when we called the realtor said that we could get $600 a month rent for this. Well, that might be possible, but I'd sure hate to meet the person that paid me $600 to live in here. I think it would cost more than the house, this little guest house is worth to fix it than it's worth.
Right.
So I really think this whole project, you know, even though it's got some character, like I said, it's a great neighborhood, but there's better investments. This would be a waste of time and money and effort, and I think the price is unrealistic, even though it's the lowest price in the neighborhood.
I agree. I think for this price, we should see what else can we get in this region and see, you know, how that would perform relative to this.
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty good at fixing things up, but this is a major job.
Yeah, this is more work than I want to get into.
Yeah. And it would cost more than you would ever get your money out. So there's far better investments. Let's go look at other things.
Okay. Just a few blocks away, our next property looked like a far better deal. Listed for $129,900, it was a fully renovated bungalow with lots of backyard space and terrific curb appeal.
Well, Kim, what did you think?
Well, I think it's a vast improvement from the house a couple blocks away that had the cracks all the way down the front.
Yeah, what a difference, huh?
Yeah, what a difference. I mean, could you have fixed that other house?
No.
No, that house was cracked. But here we are, the same house, about 1930, same style, same design, structurally sound, much more improved. But, you know, the question is, what do you think this house will be worth, 5 to 10 years from now? It's a great neighborhood. Right. It's got charm. It's very old and charming. It's fabulous.
And it's been well cared for, you can tell.
Did you see those floors and the paint? It was spectacular. They really brought it up well. I mean, this is a great value. But really, we're going to have to find out now how how good an investment it is, and that the numbers will tell us, right?
Right, because this one's, they're asking about $130,000 for it, so it's a bit steeper than the others in price, and again, the analysis will determine whether it's a good deal or not.
But it's a solid value, great neighborhood, fabulous house. I love what they've done inside it. I couldn't do it that good.
Right, right.
It's really well done.
I have noticed across the road there's another for sale sign.
Really?
Yeah, another house there. So I suggest while we're here we check it out and see if it's any good too. You know, whereas the house we've just looked at was $129,900, this one here I see is only $114,000. Not altogether unexpected. The one there has a lot of charm. And this one, I'd say with the way the front yard is, it doesn't really have the same appeal.
Yeah, you almost can't see it because it's just so not attractive from the outside. The landscaping is terrible.
Right. And we wouldn't really have noticed this one had we not been looking at that other one. But I say, since we're here anyway, let's have a look inside.
Yeah, let's go take a look at it.
Wow, this is spacious. It looks as though it's one open plan area, dining, living, and kitchen area. Look too how it's got windows on all three of the walls. One big one down the side, the big one up front here, and then at the rear as well. Lots of light.
What's amazing is that it doesn't look that good from the outside, but from the inside,
Right.
This is spectacular.
Spectacular, yeah.
Really, really well done. It's only like a block away from that really frightening house with cracks all over. It was cracked. That one was 102, just a block or two away. This is 114, and all the hard work's already been done. Right. Obviously, I've done a nice job of it.
Right. And look at this, it all looks new. It looks as though the kitchen's completely new. New benches, new stove, new range hood. There's nothing you could do here, really. It's ready to be moved in.
But it's tastefully done. It's, isn't it appealing?
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't even have to put my finishing touches on this one.
Well, there you go. All right, let's check out down the back.
Parts.
Oh, well, on the left here we have, this is a full bathroom. It's got a lavatory, a bath, and a shower. All brand new by the looks of things.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's real nice.
On the
Very
right,
well done.
here's the first bedroom, second large bedroom, and then here there is the third bedroom. This looks as though it's the master because there's another bathroom here. In fact, this one also has a lavatory, a bath, and a shower, and then another vanity unit come wash basin.
It's very well done. You know, this house has, 2 bathrooms, 3 bedrooms, right?
Right.
And that other house that's just a block away had,
Just one bathroom.
That was questionable.
Right, and 2 bedrooms.
But it had a guest house.
Right.
What do you think of this place?
Oh, it's nice. I mean, if that were just me and her moving in, I'd be ready to move in because everything's ready.
Ready
It's
to
nice.
move out.
This one's ready to move into. The other one needs a lot of work, and yet the price differential, it's the difference between $114,000 asking price and $102,000.
Right. You would put so much more money in that house and never get it back. It's the same neighborhood. It's a great neighborhood. Young professionals are moving in here. They have a school right over there, a hospital right over there. It's where the young professionals are moving back in because they can afford to move in here and fix these places up.
Right. Mm-hmm.
This is a great area. Do you think there's anything else we can do to improve this place?
Well, there's very little you could do on the inside of the house. The only thing I can think of is here in the master bedroom where there is a window, we could turn that into a French door. However, there is a lot we can do outside,
Right.
and that's what really excites me about this
And
place.
they've already spent the big money. The rest is really simple on the outside.
Right, and cosmetic.
Right. This is a well-done place.
Yeah.
Good value. It's very good value.
Yeah. Well, guys, I think we agree that the inside is pretty well done up very nicely. There's little you could do there.
It was surprising.
Very surprising.
Brand new looking.
Robert, you asked what could be done on the outside, and there are 3 things that come to mind first up. One is there's that wooden fence down the back there that's not painted. Now, for about $10, you could paint it and dramatically improve the street appeal of this whole house. So
Right.
that's number 1. Number 2 is why not put a carport in here? The outside wall is already erected. It would be very simple to put in a carport, keep the car out of the sun or the rain or whatever. Really, again, that would improve the value without spending much money at all. But the third option, and the one that I think perhaps is the most appealing, is why not take that fence down altogether? There's a lot of spare land down the back.
Yeah, it's
why
just
not?
wasted.
It's wasted.
Yeah.
Why not build a 2-car garage with a tool shed or something like that attached? And again, that would dramatically lift the value of the house for a very modest expenditure.
And Ryan, you're good, with your hands and tools. Could you put up a 2-car garage back there?
Oh, yeah, no problem. Yeah, it'd be easy. Lots of room back there for it, so.
And that's what I love about this place. Even though it's nearly completely done up, there is still a twist here, and the dramatic twist is the street appeal is not reflective of what it's like on the inside.
Right, and everybody around them, they're improving their property, they're improving their property, they're improving their property. This whole area is coming up. I like that.
Right.
Well, let's look at the front yard, see what we can do here. Well, as I said, it's really spectacular on the inside, but we almost missed this place because it has no curb appeal, right? Look at this thing. This bush here is dead. It doesn't look good, and it's a blank wall.
Right.
I think it needs a door there, maybe a porch, a little rock, walkway up to it. Really make it quaint. Don't you think so?
Right. Oh, yeah.
Could you put a door in there?
Oh, yeah. Just knock it out and put a door in. It wouldn't be that big of a deal.
They're pretty simple. What about the lawn?
Well, if we change the garden a bit, put in fresh lawn here, perhaps have some flower beds around the edges, and more particularly out front, there's no fence. We could simply put up a white picket fence. And doing all those things would totally lift the curb appeal of this house.
Yeah.
So that it truly reflects what it is on the inside.
Right. But now, I think of all the properties, this has the most value. Great neighborhood, great house. You don't have to put too much money into it. You greatly increase the value. But now it's onto the numbers, right?
Right.
The numbers will tell if it's a good deal or not.
Exactly.
So let's go do the numbers.
them.
Yeah.